my friends. Welcome to another aimless adventure coming to you from Port Richey, Florida today. Taking shelter in the shade because the Florida sun here is coming out. It's a Sunday morning, and there's something about a Sunday that makes the body feel alone. I had to. I think it's time we explore more of Johnny Cash's Port Richey home here in Port Richey, Florida. Let's do it. As I made my way towards the former Cash home, I came across a tribal mound. This is a very good tie-in with Johnny, considering his long-standing support of Native peoples. Tucked away in this quaint little neighborhood is a historical marker. And what's just to the left of it, or in the foreground, says, "This Indian mound is all that remains of a late Weeden Island period community. Probably settled around AD 1000 and inhabited for several hundreds of years." Excavations conducted in 1879 by S.T. Walker of the Smithsonian Institute indicated this was a temple mound. A nearby burial mound excavated in 1903 by Clarence B. Moore was subsequently destroyed by developers, along with other remnants of the prehistoric community. It's believed that this mound does contain the remains of tribal natives. This mound was preserved by its owner, the late Aunt Martha Olsner, who believed that it also contains Tamiqua, or Calusa Indian graves. This is a quaint and beautiful neighborhood. You can see why John and June would have enjoyed being back here, away from the hustle and bustle. You've got the Cody River right there, a little busier nowadays than when the Carters lived here. So it's a quaint little area, well shaded, from pines to date palms to live oak covered in fern and other assorted moss. You can see why this would be a sanctuary for somebody who's on the road constantly. Now, this was originally June Carter's parents' home, and it's just a couple doors down that way. Tucked away in this quiet little neighborhood, you can see exactly why Johnny and June would have called this place a sweet little getaway. And after all, life on the river, well, it's just sweeter. Being a mile from the Gulf of Mexico, that's a cherry on top. Taking a look at this archive photo I was able to locate on the interwebs, you can see a building to the right, the little white one. That's no longer there today. There's a driveway between the two, but I want you to focus on the porch. That's where the major differences are from then and now. Here's a picture I took. Notice to the right of the driveway, the white building is now gone. The porch has been enclosed. During the time that June's parents and when Johnny and June stayed here, this was an open-faced porch. One of the hidden gems in this home is the fireplace, which still to this day contains Johnny and June's name in stone. In this photo, we see the Reverend Billy Graham, Johnny Cash, June Carter Cash, and Reverend Graham's wife Ruth on what is believed to be the dock directly across the street from the Cash's Port Richey home. Because most boat docks are directly across from the homes they belong to, I believe that this is the exact location of the one standing Johnny Cash boat dock. I was able to locate a survey marker from the time that the Cashes lived here. Based on the footings, the fact that this is directly across from the former Cash home, I believe that this is exactly where Johnny Cash's boat dock was. In 1998, in his autobiography, In Cash, Johnny wrote about their little home in Port Richey. He wrote the following: "Several names, several homes. I'm part gypsy, part homebody. So I live according to a rhythm alien to most people, but natural to me. Splitting my time on a semi-predictable basis between my big house on Old Hickory Lake just outside of Nashville, my farm, Bonagua, further outside of Nashville, the house in Port Richey, Florida that June inherited from her parents, an endless succession of hotels all over the world, my bus, and my house in Jamaica, Cinnamon Hill." He also wrote, "Today I'm in Florida with June at the little house she inherited from her parents, Ezra and Maybelle Carter. Their house is in Port Richey, a community identified by Consumer Reports in 1961 as the best and cheapest place to live in the whole United States." That's what prompted Ezra, or Pop Carter as we all called him, to come looking for property, find this house on the river, and begin negotiating. About a year later, he talked the owner into a good deal. Naturally, many other citizens followed the beacon lit by Consumer Reports, and in short order, Port Richey began growing at such an explosive rate that very soon it lost many of the qualities that made it so desirable in the first place. These days, it's just one in a string of little coastal towns that have been blended into a solidly urbanized strip running 40 miles north to south between US 19 and the Gulf of Mexico. The highway is so clogged with traffic most of the time that people talk about it the way Californians talk about earthquakes or New Yorkers talk about crime. And in some of the souvenir shops, you can even buy t-shirts boasting "I survived US 19. Still, once you're on our little street, on Pop Carter's front porch, with the river right across the pavement from you and your boat bobbing at the dock, waiting to zoom you out into the open waters of the Gulf just a few hundred yards away, all that stuff could be in another country. Here, you have the tide, the meeting of fresh water with the salt, the seabirds and marsh birds and land birds. The weather cooks up its sudden subtropical tempests out over the horizon, or on the landward side. Takes the whole afternoon to build one of those immense imposing fortresses of thunderstorms, and then, as afternoon begins its long transition to evening, turns the whole towering edifice purple-gray and brings it all tumbling and crashing down on you, transforming everything into wind and water. Mostly, that's a summer treat, so I don't experience it very often. For like other non-natives, with enough money and sense, we go elsewhere during Florida's months of 80% humidity. Whenever I see it, though, it always makes me marvel at the sheer scale, power, beauty, and complexity of God's creation, at the simplicity and strength of my human root and nature. The house inside is a maze. The rooms aren't very big, and most of them are decorated and furnished very much like they were in Pop and Maybelle's day, with many of Pop and Maybelle's things still in place, which is good. It feels right to have such a palpable connection to them and their days. At times when our money has gotten tight, we've seriously considered selling the place, as we have Cinnamon Hill, but we never absolutely had to, and I'm glad we've always decided to keep it. It belongs in the family.